Okay, so this video outlines how to use Read and Write 12, version 12, in an exam setting. So you will attend your exam lab for your exam. You'll have an invigilator there. You sit down at the assigned computer, and on the desktop you should see Read and Write 12. Double-click this. Just wait a few minutes for it to launch. This can be varied depending on the computer speed and so forth. It won't take more than a minute at least. If there is a difficulty with launching or using any aspect of Dragon, raise the hand, take a note of the time that the difficulty occurred, and ask the invigilator for help. Now in the exam, you will have access to using only the play feature if your document exam paper is in format of Microsoft Word, or the probability of you using Screenshot Reader, that's the other alternative if your exam paper is in PDF format, or if it's indeed as an assessment online, that's the button that you will use. Now before we start, what I would suggest you do is go into the settings. Now this settings is slightly different to the settings in the Read and Write version 11, so just to be aware of that. And if your exam is in Read and Write version 11, simply raise your hand to ask the invigilator in regards to setting up the voice and so forth. So here, if I click on speech, so I clicked on the settings, I click on speech, and I would choose the voice that's suitable. So for me, in my opinion, the best voice there is the UK Serena vocalizer. If the speed is too much for you, you can reduce it slightly. Now, very slight changes lead to a large magnification, so just to bear that in mind. And if you're happy with the word pause, I'd leave everything as it is. You could test the voice then.
This is your new voice. Is it okay?
And if you're happy with that, it's a simple case of pressing X. Now, another aspect that you can see down below is the fact that you can change the highlighted colors when the text is being read. Now, the default colors are the recommended colors for students with learning differences. Again, I wouldn't change if it's really required. I'd leave as is. I close that down. So now that we have Read and Write open, the next aspect is to use Read and Write in an exam setting. Now, in the unlikely event that your exam paper is in Microsoft Word format, like here, in the unlikely event, then you can use the play button. So let me show you. So if I scroll down to question 1, and I have two options. I can either highlight the text, or I can just simply press the cursor where I would wish the text to start being read from. If I press play here.
1. Discuss the contribution the early historical viewpoints of abnormal development have had on our understanding of modern.
Now, as you can see, the last word was not read back there, so let's try it again and press the play. This time highlighting the whole question.
Discuss the contribution the early historical viewpoints of abnormal development have had on our understanding of modern psychopathology.
And that is basically it. And then you can simply progress on to the next question in the same manner. And so on and so forth. Very straightforward, very simple. You can also pause the text as you progress.
Discuss how our understanding of the relationship between the brain and
that's basically it. You can continue that then by pressing pause.
Behavior contributes to our knowledge of psychological dysfunction.
Now, that is the example of using it with Microsoft Word formatted exam paper. Again, I have to stress, it is very unlikely that your exam paper will be in this format, but if it is, the best way and most seamless way to read the text is with the play button. Now, here is the most probable situation for your exam. Your exam paper will be in PDF format. So here we have PDF format text. What's the difference between a PDF format and Microsoft Word? Well, for those of you that don't know, the PDF format, you cannot edit, but it's a bit more difficult to edit. You need to have PDF editing software, but for the exam setting, you will not have that access to that. It'll just be a reader, a PDF reader that you will have access to. And to read that text, again, here is the exact same exam paper, but it is in PDF format. And to do that, you would simply press the screenshot reader once. There is an X now armed. You go to the question, you keep the left mouse held down, you create a nice frame around the text, and then you let go. It takes a few seconds to work. Now in this instance, what I have done is I have configured Screenshot Reader to screenshot to Microsoft Word. Now for the purposes of the exam session, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the settings, and then I'm going to go to show more settings, and I'm going to go to the Screenshot Reader, and I'm going to capture by drawing rectangle, screenshot to window. And that's basically it. Now, the chances, it's probably highly improbable that you will be the default will be screenshotting to Microsoft Word. You may not need to change this, but if it does screenshot to Microsoft Word, then this is the steps. These are the steps to take in order to configure that to screenshot to a window. Okay. So let me go back and try that again. So I press the screenshot, create a nice frame around my text with the mouse, and then I let go.
Discuss the contribution the early historical viewpoints of abnormal development have had on our understanding of modern psychopathology.
Now in this instance, the text is displayed in another screen. I have multiple screens here. For the purposes of your example, you will be having one screen, and it will be highlighting the text as you progress. And you just press X then out of the window, and that is basically it. You go to the next section, and same principle.
Why is the assessment process an important component of the accurate diagnosis and treatment of psychological disorders? 50.
Now just to give you an example here, if I just go to the other screen, that's what you will be seeing when you play that. And you just press X. Let's just try it again and see if it pops up now. Again, my apologies in the fact that I have multiple screens.
Why is the assessment process an important?
So that is basically it. That didn't seem to work fully, but again, the only thing I wanted to show you was the fact that that in your single screen it will highlight each text. But for the purposes of this video presentation today, I have multiple screens, and for some reason it's jumping onto the other screen, but you're not going to get that issue with your exam. So that is basically it. There is no other no other tasks to undertake, just to make sure that you plug in your headsets, and if you can't hear the headset, make sure that you speak to the invigilator to request information in regards to that. And that is basically it. So thank you very much indeed for watching this video.